Hello everybody and welcome back to the Halo Chronicle. Today's video is the first video in my new series called the New Blood series. This series will cover events that transpire in the Halo novel New Blood. New Blood tells many different stories from the perspective of Gunnery Sergeant and later Spartan Edward Buck. We get to hear stories about his homeworld of Draco III, him meeting Veronica Dare for the first time, different iterations of his squad Alpha 9, his first-hand account of the events that take place in Halo 3 ODST, and his journey to becoming a Spartan. We also get to discuss a devastating betrayal he is forced to endure by one of his own squad mates. That journey begins today, but before I start, I need to give a word of caution. Buck's storytelling can best be described as scatterbrained. He frequently flashes in and out of stories. Recapping that is not going to be easy, but I will do the best I can to make sure the story can be easily understood. To help with the timeline, I've added different notes to the section headers to help you understand when this story is taking place. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's chapter of the story. This journey starts with one of Buck's first missions as a Spartan. This would be after the fall of the Covenant. Shortly after the fall of the Covenant, the human civil war known as the Insurrection would resurface. Many of the insurrectionists that joined the UNSC to stop the Covenant would quickly return to their old ways after the war ended. Insurrectionist leaders wasted no time and used the power vacuum left in the Covenant's wake to seize control of many human colonies. Edward Buck would be assigned to lead the Spartan version of Alpha 9. His squad mates would include Kojo Agu, aka Romeo, and Michael Crespo, aka Mickey. They would be deployed to a planet called Talitza by Oni Captain Veronica Dare on a special mission. This mission would be to retrieve the former Covenant engineer known as Virgil. Yes, this is the same Covenant engineer from Halo 3 ODST. Insurrectionist rebels captured Virgil's handler, Sadie and Disha. Because of Sadie's capture, Virgil would willingly go with the rebels. They hoped to use Virgil to develop new technologies to counter the UNSC. To recover Virgil, Dare would dispatch one of the best Spartan fire teams, Alpha 9. Alpha 9 would arrive on the planet and make their way through a jungle until they found the rebel base. The three Spartans would watch and wait. They would not attack the facility until confirming that either Virgil or Sadie was present. Finally, after watching the facility for hours, Buck got a glimpse of Virgil, confirming that it was indeed in the rebel base. When Buck went to get up and order the attack, he was pushed back down. He was then held at gunpoint. This meant that somebody had betrayed him, but he couldn't figure out who it was at first. While Buck was pressed into the dirt by someone he thought was a friend, he would flash back to an earlier point in his life. He would remember his homeworld and the events that led him to joining the UNSC. Buck always thought that he would be a fisherman as a young boy. He even apprenticed with his Uncle Lou back on his homeworld of Draco III. Buck's aspirations all changed when the Human Covenant War broke out. Buck would enlist as soon as he could. That would come on his 18th birthday. Buck stood out from an early point in his training. He was a strong soldier and a born leader. He would rise up the UNSC's ranks quickly. One day, while Buck was in cryosleep traveling across the galaxy to participate in a mission, the Covenant would come for Draco III. Draco III saw some of the Covenant's most savage acts. Unlike other human colonies, the Covenant did not completely glass the planet. They glassed half of it. They then sent grunts and jackals down to the planet to hunt, kill, and eat the remaining humans. The UNSC responded to the Covenant's attack by deploying a team of Spartans, but by then, it was too late for Buck's family. They were all killed. Buck was distraught over the loss of his family. He immediately put in for a transfer to the ODSTs. He wanted to join the front lines and get payback for his fallen family. His request was granted, and he soon became a leader of an ODST squad called Alpha 9. During his early time with the ODSTs, Buck took unnecessary risks and fought the Covenant with reckless abandon. This did not go unnoticed by his superiors. His commanding officer ordered him to take shore leave to clear his head. Buck didn't initially listen, but when they threatened him with a psychological evaluation, he finally caved. He took a week-long shore leave at a resort called Castellaneta, which resided in Saturn's orbit. There he would meet a woman that would change his life forever. Her name was Veronica Dare. Buck and Veronica would immediately be drawn to one another. They would spend their entire shore leave together. It is believed that they fell in love during this trip, but it would all fall apart on the last day. Buck believed Veronica was a soldier, but through conversations with her, he would find out that she was actually an Oni operative. He would also find out that she was sent to Castellaneta to study him. She had intimate knowledge of Buck, including his service record. This enraged Buck, and the two would go their separate ways. Buck never wanted to see Veronica again, but he rarely gets what he wants. A little over a year after meeting Veronica, their paths would cross again. Buck's squad would be assigned to a mission on Sargasso. This mission would be led up by Oni operative Veronica Dare. Buck and Veronica butted heads from the beginning. The mission would be to recover vital research data from a facility called Lethbridge Industrial on Sargasso. 2 ODST squads would be deployed to recover the data. These squads would be Alpha 9 and Gamma 6. This Alpha 9 squad was comprised of a completely different group of ODSTs. Alpha 9 would be dropped closer to the facility and would be the ones entrusted with recovering the data. Gamma 6 would be dropped further away and would unknowingly be used as a distraction. Gamma 6 would not be informed of Alpha 9's presence at all. This did not sit well with Buck, but he followed Veronica's orders. Alpha 9 would land near the Lethbridge Industrial Facility as planned and clear the facility with ease thanks to Gamma 6's distraction. Buck would find the missing research data chip and his team would begin to move to the extraction point, but before reaching it, he would change his communication channel to Gamma 6's channel. Gamma 6 was being devastated by the Covenant. Their leader was dead and command was passed to Sarah Palmer. Yes, the same Sarah Palmer from Halo 4. Buck ignored Veronica's direct orders and ordered his team to move to Gamma 6's position to assist. This pissed off Veronica, who immediately began to browbeat Buck over the radio. Buck ignored Veronica and continued to Gamma 6's location. By the time they reached them, the only Gamma 6 trooper left alive was Sarah Palmer, and she was out of ammo. Buck and his team worked quickly to take out a squad of brutes and 2 elites piloting Banshees flying overhead. After some back and forth, Buck's squad and Palmer cleared the area of all the Covenant forces. Buck and the rest of Alpha 9 then helped Palmer collect her dead teammates. They then made their way to the extraction point together. This would not be the last time Buck would see Sarah Palmer. Once Buck and his squad returned for their mission debriefing, Veronica would lay into them like never before. Buck remained defiant until the end. Veronica would try to tell Buck how important this data that they recovered was, but he would ignore her criticisms and leave the facility. The next time Buck would see Veronica was in orbit above Earth during the Covenant's invasion. Buck's squad would once again be put at Oni's disposal during the Covenant's invasion of Earth. Buck, now surrounded by a new fire team, would be assigned to work again with Captain Veronica Dare. Alpha 9 would be comprised of Buck, Dutch, Mickey, Romeo, and a new recruit called the Rookie. Together they would drop over a Covenant ship that was occupying the human megacity known as New Mombasa. As the troopers were making their way down, Dare would adjust their landing zone from the Covenant carrier to the streets of New Mombasa. This would stun the troops, but before they had any chance to react, the Covenant carrier would jump into slip space while still in Earth's atmosphere. This created a huge shockwave across the city. The shockwave would cause Mickey's pod to collide with the rookies during the descent. Each pod would be blown off course and the troops would be spread out across the city. The rookie's pod would have the roughest landing and he would be knocked out for several hours. Mickey would land on the streets of New Mombasa and assist a group of Marines with a tank. Dutch would land in the Uplift Reserve Nature Preservation. Buck, Dare, and Romeo would land relatively close to one another on the streets of New Mombasa. Buck would race to get to Dare, but she would be directed by a group of Covenant engineers to Virgil below the city streets before he could arrive. This complicated things as Dare never gave Buck details on their mission. This would force Buck to abandon the mission and search for his squad. One by one, each trooper would rendezvous with another. Buck, Mickey, Dutch, and Romeo would meet up on top of New Mombasa's police department building where they would fend off several waves of Covenant brutes. Romeo would take the edge of one of the brute chieftain's gravity hammers to the chest. This would collapse one of Romeo's lungs and leave him in rough shape for the rest of the mission. The rookie would awaken and travel through the mean streets of New Mombasa looking for clues about what happened to his squad. After following a series of clues, the rookie would be led to Dare in New Mombasa's data center beneath the streets. He would be ordered to help Dare protect a Covenant engineer named Virgil. Buck and the rest of his team would commandeer a Covenant Phantom. They would then try to escape the city when Buck remembered clues that Dare had given him about the mission. Buck then realized through a series of clues that Dare must have gone underground. He ordered his squad to return to the city so he could search for Dare. Buck found Dare, the rookie, and Virgil in New Mombasa's data center. The four would make their escape and reach New Mombasa's waterfront highway. During this time, Buck and Dare would patch things up. The four would make a mad dash down the waterfront highway in a garbage truck. They would then hold up in the Uplift Nature Reserve's museum while they waited for the rest of the squad to arrive in the Phantom. The squad would fully reunite and escape using the stolen Phantom. Dare and Buck would rekindle their romantic relationship. Dare would then state that when humanity won the war, they would talk more about her and Buck's future. Shortly after this mission, humanity would defeat the Covenant at the Ark and the war would finally be over. Before Buck and Veronica could talk about their future, Buck would get a visit from a most unexpected visitor. Buck would be visited by Spartan A266, June. This is going to complete today's chapter of this story, but before I leave you, let's talk about some interesting bits of lore tied to today's video. Buck was not apprenticing to be an ordinary fisherman on his homeworld, Draco III. Buck was apprenticing to be an octo whale fisherman. Octo whales were huge, and the only way that they could be captured would be with large electric shock nets. As mentioned before, the version of Alpha 9 that accompanied Buck to Sargasso was completely different than the version we see in Halo 3 ODST. The squad was comprised of Buck, Gomez, Sven's daughter, and Samrat. All of the ODSTs in Alpha 9, with the exception of Buck, would lose their lives by the fall of Reach. The recovery of Virgil from New Mombasa turned out to be a turning point in the Human Covenant War. Virgil was able to give the UNSC vital information about what the Covenant was looking for in New Mombasa. Specifically, Virgil told the UNSC that the Covenant was looking for the portal to the Ark, which was buried on the outskirts of New Mombasa. Next time, we will discuss Buck's attempted recruitment into the Spartan 4 program, his return to Draco III, and his Spartan 4 training. This series will likely not be as long as others. I'm thinking it'll be 3 to 4 videos max, but we'll see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you have not already done so, as it helps out the channel a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.